I couldn't believe it. My mind refused to accept what Steve was saying. We were all trapped? It was impossible. There had to be a way out. There had to be something, anything we could do. But as I stared at Steve, I saw the fear in his eyes, the resignation. He wasn't lying. He wasn't playing some sick joke. He was just as terrified as I was. And that terrified me more than anything. I stumbled back from him, my mind reeling. "I won't stay here," I muttered, more to myself than to Steve. "I can't." "You don't have a choice," he said, his voice so cold it sent a shiver down my spine. "The creature, it's already too close. We all made the mistake of thinking we could escape, but once it's marked you, once it's seen you, it will follow you. It doesn't matter if you run or hide, it'll find you." I shook my head, trying to push past the panic clawing at my chest. There has to be another way. There has to be something we can do. Steve stood there, his eyes hollow, and then he slowly walked toward the door. "You don't understand. The only way to survive is to stay within the rules. Once you break them, you're part of it. You're in its world now." I felt the walls closing in, and for the first time, I understood what Steve meant. The Outpost wasn't just some isolated building in the mountains. It was a trap. We were here for a reason. The creature had been waiting, and we were its prey. The rules weren't just guidelines, they were chains, keeping us bound to the land. But I couldn't accept that. I couldn't just sit here and wait for it to come for me. I refused to believe that my only option was to obey those rules and live in fear until it claimed me like it had claimed the others. I wasn't going to become a part of it. "I'm leaving," I said, my voice firm. "I'm getting out of here, Steve. I'm not going to sit here and let it take me." Steve's face twisted with worry, and for a moment I saw something like desperation in his eyes. "You can't escape. Don't you see? That's exactly what it wants. It wants you to leave so it can follow you. The moment you step outside—" His voice faltered, and I saw the fear in his eyes again. "It's over." I shook my head, refusing to believe it. I didn't care if the creature was tied to the mountain. I didn't care if it was waiting. I wasn't going to sit here and let it take me. I had to try. I had to escape. "I'm going," I said, taking a step toward the door. Steve grabbed my arm, pulling me back. "You don't get it. You think you can just walk out of here like it's some game? It's not that simple. There's no escape. The creature, whatever it is, won't let you go. Once you break the rules, once you step out, you're marked. There's no running from it, no hiding from it. It will follow you until it gets what it wants." I pulled away from his grip, shaking my head. "I don't care. I'll take my chances." I opened the door. The cold hit me like a slap in the face. The wind howled through the trees, the snow falling in thick, swirling sheets. The night was as dark as it had ever been, the forest outside a maze of shadows. But for the first time since I arrived, I felt like I had a chance, like I could escape. But as I stepped outside, something felt wrong. The air was thick. The ground beneath my feet seemed to shift. I felt it, the presence of the creature, as if it were closing in, watching, waiting for me to make the next move. I pushed forward, my heart pounding in my chest. The trees loomed like dark sentinels, their branches heavy with snow. I couldn't stop. I couldn't turn back. The wind howled in my ears as I made my way through the snow. The deeper I went, the more I could feel the weight of the creature's gaze pressing down on me. I tried to ignore it, but the sensation of being hunted, of being tracked, was unbearable. I stumbled over a hidden rock, catching myself just before I fell face first into the snow. My breath came in ragged gasps, my legs burning with the effort to keep going. But the more I ran, the heavier the air became. It was like I was fighting against something I couldn't see, something that was keeping me from moving forward. The trees seemed to close in on me, the snow crunching under my boots as I pushed myself onward. And then I heard it. The sound of something moving in the snow behind me. It was slow at first, a soft crunch of the earth, but it was getting louder, closer. I turned, my heart nearly leaping out of my chest, but I didn't see anything. Just the trees, the snow, the shadows. I kept running, but no matter how fast I went, no matter how much distance I put between myself and the outpost, the feeling of being pursued never stopped. The sound grew louder, faster, closer. The creature was behind me, and it wasn't going to let me escape. The woods seemed endless. I was disoriented, lost in a blur of snow and shadows. I couldn't see the path, couldn't see anything beyond the trees. The world had narrowed down to just me and the sound of my breath, the pounding of my heart, and the sound of something following me, getting closer with each passing second. And then it was there. The creature. It stepped out of the darkness, tall and thin, its limbs unnaturally long, moving with the grace that made it all the more terrifying. It wasn't just following me now, it had caught up. And this time I could see it clearly. Its face, if you could call it that, was nothing but a black void, a gaping hole where eyes should be. The sound of its breathing echoed in my ears, each exhale a sound of pure terror. I froze. It wasn't like before when I had tried to outrun it. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I was paralyzed by its presence. The creature moved closer, its long arms stretching out toward me, its fingers curling like claws, ready to take me. And then just as it was about to reach me, something changed. A burst of light, bright and blinding, flashed through the trees. The creature recoiled, its form distorting, writhing as though it were in pain. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I turned and ran with everything I had left in me.
I didn't know how far I ran or how much time had passed, but I knew I couldn't stop. My body was screaming for rest, my legs burning with every step, but I kept pushing forward. The creature was behind me, lurking just beyond the shadows, waiting for me to falter. It was no longer a hunt. It was a game, and it was winning. The light had blinded it for a moment, but it was already recovering, its twisted form reappearing from the depths of the trees. I could hear it moving, slow and steady, following my every footstep. The snow beneath my feet seemed to crunch louder now, the only sound filling the emptiness around me. There was nothing out here but me and it, the darkness closing in tighter, and the cold pressing against my skin. I didn't know how much further I could go. The mountains, once majestic, now felt like walls closing in on me, each step taking me deeper into an inescapable trap. I stumbled again, nearly falling to my knees, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't let it catch me. I didn't want to become part of whatever nightmare this thing had been waiting to create. I needed to fight back. But what could I do? I had nothing. The woods were endless, the darkness was suffocating, and the creature, that thing, was closing in. I reached into my pocket, desperate to find something, anything, that might help. My hand brushed over the cold metal of the flashlight I'd grabbed earlier. I didn't know why I hadn't thought of it before. Maybe because I was too caught up in running, too consumed by fear to think clearly. But now, with the creature almost upon me, I had no choice. I switched it on, the beam cutting through the thick darkness. It illuminated the trees, the snow, the empty space around me. But as I swung the beam back and forth, my heart stopped. The creature was there, closer than ever. Its twisted long arms stretched out in my direction, its body contorting unnaturally as it moved toward me. It was no longer a hunt. It was a game, and it was winning. I raised the flashlight, pointed it directly at the creature's face. It recoiled, its body jerking back like the light was a weapon, like it was something it couldn't bear. But the moment I turned the beam away, it came charging forward again. It was no use. The flashlight wasn't enough. The creature was too powerful, too fast. I backed up, my mind racing, my heart thudding in my chest. There had to be something. There had to be a way to stop it. But what? And then it hit me. The old journals, the stories from the workers, the whispers of the past. The creature wasn't just a predator. It wasn't just a mindless thing. It had been here for centuries, and the only thing that kept it contained were the rules that kept it bound to the mountain. Once those rules were broken, once you ventured into the dark, the creature would be free to do what it wanted. But what if there was another way to contain it? I didn't know how much longer I had. I could feel the creature's breath on my neck now, the cold air thick with its presence. I had to act fast. I turned the flashlight off, plunging the world back into darkness. I didn't know if it would work, but maybe, just maybe, it would give me a chance. I wasn't just running anymore. I wasn't trying to outrun it. I had to fight. The creature paused. I could feel it hesitate, like it was trying to make sense of the sudden change. It couldn't see me anymore, but I could feel its eyes, its unseen gaze searching for me in the pitch black. I could hear it breathing, the faint scratching of its claws on the frozen earth. It was getting closer. And that's when I made my move. I grabbed a nearby branch, snapping it off the ground. It was thin, brittle, but it was something. I swung it wildly, hoping to make some kind of noise, something to throw the creature off. The creature recoiled, its twisted form jerking backward. But it wasn't enough. It was faster than I anticipated. I barely had time to react before it lunged toward me, its long arms stretching out like a monstrous shadow. In that moment, everything slowed down. I saw its arms coming at me, its claws sharp and ready to grab. My mind screamed for me to move, but my body was frozen. I couldn't get away fast enough. But just as it reached me, something powerful hit the creature from behind. It was a blast of light, blinding and bright, so intense that the creature shrieked. It was like the very air around me shifted, a burst of energy that knocked the creature off balance, sending it flying backward. I didn't hesitate. I ran. I didn't look back. I couldn't. The light had stopped the creature for now, but I knew it wouldn't be long before it recovered. It was only a matter of time before it came after me again. I ran, pushing my body harder than I ever had before, racing through the snow, trying to find my way back to the outpost. The forest seemed endless, the shadows pressing in around me, but I didn't care. I didn't have time to think about it. I just had to get away. My lungs burned, my legs felt like they were going to give out, but I kept going, my eyes focused on the path ahead. I had no plan, no backup, no hope really, but I wasn't going to die out here, not like this. As I neared the outpost, I heard the creature again, its screech echoing in the distance. It was following me. It wasn't giving up, but this time, I had a plan. I could feel it. I reached the door. I slammed my hand against it, but it wouldn't open. I could hear the creature getting closer, its breath loud, like it was right behind me. But then, the door opened. Steve. He was standing there, wide-eyed, looking at me in disbelief. "Get inside!" he shouted, grabbing me by the arm and pulling me in. I stumbled inside, gasping for breath, and slammed the door shut behind me. It was over. Or at least, I thought it was. But I could hear it. The creature, still outside, still waiting. And I knew, deep down, that there would never be peace here again.
I stood there in the dark hallway of the outpost, gasping for air, my hands trembling as they gripped the walls around me. Steve had just slammed the door shut behind us, and the sound of the creature screeching outside still echoed in my ears. It was as if the walls themselves were trembling from the force of its presence. I wanted to believe that it was over, that we were safe now. But deep down, I knew better. There was no real safety in this place anymore. There never had been. We were all just waiting for the creature to claim us, one by one. Steve turned to face me, his expression grim. "You should have stayed inside," he said, his voice low and full of regret. "You don't know what you've done. You broke the rules, and now there's no going back." I swallowed hard, my throat dry. I couldn't just sit there, Steve. I couldn't let it keep hunting us, hunting me. I had to do something. He nodded, but it wasn't a comforting gesture. He wasn't agreeing with me. He was just acknowledging the inevitability of what had happened. "I understand why you did it," he muttered, "but it doesn't change what's coming. The creature, it's coming for all of us now. It's already marked you. It knows where you are. It won't stop until it gets what it wants." My heart pounded in my chest. I knew what he was saying was true. The creature didn't care about our rules. It didn't care about our survival. It didn't even care if we obeyed. It had been here long before any of us. It had been waiting, and now it had its sights on us. I could hear it outside, its screeches getting louder, more frantic, as though it were growing more desperate, more furious. I turned and ran to the window, hoping to see something that would reassure me, some sign that it was retreating. But the snow outside was as thick as ever, and the darkness in the trees only seemed to deepen with every passing second. Steve came up behind me, his hand resting on my shoulder. He didn't say anything, but his presence was enough. I turned to face him, my heart racing. "What do we do now?" Steve's face was pale, his eyes hollow from too many sleepless nights. The fear that had always lingered in the back of his mind now seemed to be consuming him. "Now," he said quietly, "we wait. We pray it doesn't find us before morning, because when the sun comes up, we might be able to escape." My mind spun. Escape? Could we really escape this place? Could we get away from the creature that had been stalking us for so long? Or was it too late? Had the creature already claimed us? I could feel my legs give out from under me, and I collapsed onto the floor, my body trembling as the weight of the situation finally caught up to me. The fear, the terror, the realization that I might never make it out of here alive. The creature was relentless, and it didn't play by the same rules as we did. It wasn't something we could outsmart or outrun. It was a force of nature, something as ancient as the mountain itself. And I had no idea what it wanted, no idea what would happen when it finally caught me. But there was one thing I knew for sure. I had already broken the rules. I had already crossed the line, and there was no going back. Steve knelt down beside me, placing a hand on my shoulder, trying to offer me comfort. But there was nothing comforting about the way his eyes were so filled with dread. The truth was clear now. We were all trapped, and the creature wasn't going to stop until it had us. Outside, the screeching grew louder. The creature was getting closer, and I could feel the tension in the air, like the world itself was holding its breath. I could feel it closing in on us, as if the creature itself were waiting for the right moment to strike. I stood up shakily, my legs unsteady beneath me. What happens if we just leave? If we break the rules again? Steve looked at me, his face torn between fear and hopelessness. "If you leave now, it will follow you. And the moment you step out of this building, it will have you. It's already marking us. We can't escape it by breaking the rules. The creature doesn't just hunt, it knows. It knows where you are, it knows what you've done." I nodded slowly, the weight of his words sinking in. I couldn't outrun it. I couldn't escape it. I had crossed a line, and there was no going back. The creature had been waiting for me to break, waiting for me to make a mistake. And now,
It was going to take me, take us all. The sound of scratching at the door interrupted my thoughts. It wasn't just the wind, it wasn't just an animal. It was the creature, and it was trying to get in. My heart pounded in my chest as I stared at the door, my eyes wide with fear. The silence that followed the scratching was even worse. It was like the creature was waiting, watching, savoring the moment. I turned to Steve, my voice trembling. "What now?" He didn't answer right away. He just looked at the door, his face pale, and then he nodded toward the back of the outpost. "There's one more thing we can try, a last resort, but it might be the only chance we have left." I followed Steve as he led me toward the back of the outpost, my heart still racing, my mind still reeling. The creature was out there, and we were running out of time, but maybe, just maybe, this last resort would give us a chance. We reached the small storage room where the old equipment was kept. Steve fumbled with a locked box in the corner, pulling out something that made my stomach drop. It was an old, weathered journal, the same type I had found earlier, but this one was different. It was filled with strange symbols and ancient-looking writings, things I couldn't understand. But when Steve opened it, he showed me something that made my blood run cold. A drawing, a depiction of the creature. And underneath it, in bold letters, the Pact. The creature isn't just tied to the mountain, it's tied to us, to our mistakes, and there's only one way to stop it. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. What do we have to do? Steve looked at me, his eyes filled with a mix of dread and determination. We have to make a choice, a sacrifice.